Hello everyone, we are Inés, Jorge, and Raquel, and we will explain some things about the dictatorship of Primo de Rivera, who was born in 1870 in Spain and died in 1930 in France. In this presentation, we are going to talk about the key aspects of it, such as the causes, the coup d'etat, the military directory, the civil directory, the decay of the dictatorship, the republic, and of course, the end of it. Let's see it. The first cause we are going to talk about was the discontent by the Spanish army after losing wars, and as a consequence, money. It's always an issue, right? The second cause consisted on having less nationalism support and more success of the Republican parties with worker and labor movements. The third and final cause we would talk about is the success of fascism in Italy. It was led by Mussolini, an Italian dictator who, as you might know, was a socialist before becoming a fascist. Let's now talk about the coup d'etat. Primo de Rivera started the uprising in September the 13th, in the year 1923. He was supported by Alfonso the 13th, and also the supporters, members of the Spanish army, part of right-wing parties, declared the war, the recess of the constitutional guarantees, and the dissolution of the courts. The constitutional regime of 1875 was substituted by a military dictatorship. Now, let's talk about it. Primo de Rivera was being advised by the military directory, and they took the next measurements. First, the Catalonian flag and hymn were prohibited, and the Catalonian language restricted. And then, the formation of the Patriotic Union, trying to follow the fascist dictatorship established in Italy by Mussolini. At this point in history, talking about the year 1925, a civil administration replaced the military directory. Then, in 1927, the National Advisory Assembly was constituted. Primo de Rivera was trying to follow the same model as Mussolini, but it failed in the attempt of making a fundamental law for the assembly. Now, of course, there were big social groups opposed to the dictatorships, like liberals, conservatives, Republicans, socialists, anarchists, intellectuals, student movements, but the most important fact was the discontent in the Spanish army, actually. There was a crash in New York's economy, and the crisis got extended all over the world, including Spain, which was another very important factor in his demission. Old, sick, and without any social support, Primo de Rivera presented his demission, and 2 months later, he died. Once Primo de Rivera was dead, everything changed, because after his death, King Alfonso XIII named the official Berenguer the leader of the Spanish government. The traditional parties, liberals and conservatives, could not establish an acceptable political system for the Spanish society, and this was a trigger for the constitutional freedom to come back again. It was a slow process, but it was finally achieved. In 1930, the Republicans, Socialists, and other opposition parties signed the Pacto de San Sebastián, and to coordinate the opposition labor, they created the Revolutionary Committee. This pact was the key to the transition from monarchy, which was rejected by large sectors of the population, to a republic. Berenguer presented his demission in 1931, making Aznar the new leader, who convened new elections. The Republican success was overwhelming. In June 1931, a constituent Cortes was elected to draft a new constitution, which came into force in December. Many members from the army believed in the creation of the new republic, even though they helped Primo de Rivera in his dictatorship. The legislative branch was changed to a single chamber called the Congress of Deputies, and the constitution provided generally accorded civil liberties and representation also. In April the 14th, in 1931, the Spanish Republic was proclaimed, meaning that Primo de Rivera dictatorship was now officially concluded. The Republican Constitution also changed the country's national hymn and flag, which had now 3 horizontal red, yellow, purple feet.
Created using Powtoon.